on, guys? This is Mr. Teej, 66's Movie Reviews. I am Mr. Teej, 66. Joined by a new guest of my show.
What's up, everybody? I'm Zolar System.
And what movie did we review today?
We reviewed two. We did Turtles 1 and Turtles 2.
We'll be saving the other ones for another review, especially Turtles 3.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a
That's
hassle.
a whole conversation in itself.
That's a swimming through shit, and it's just like you keep wanting to get out.
Yeah.
But, so we'll start off with the original, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990, directed by Steve Barron, who directed a bunch of music videos. I was reading last night, he did the Aha's Take on Me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, wow.
So he was doing music videos before he was doing movies.
Yes, I believe he also worked as a puppeteer for the Jim Henson Company, so yes.
Right. Oh, so that's a good connection to the Turtles as it is, I guess.
Exactly, because the Jim Henson Company did the effects. Now, people don't seem to realize that, yes, at the time we were kids, we were
8.
Oh,
maybe,
we were in
9.
the prime demographic.
Yeah,
for
we were
this.
young.
Well, I was in the Ninja Turtles like crazy, as were you, I'm guessing. The
Oh,
cartoon
yeah.
show. I even had the Turtles musical tour. You remember when they did that?
Yeah, the live one.
Fucking god awful. Oh, anyway. So this movie actually took quite an effort to get made. You would think that all the studios would jump on it because Ninja Turtles was such a huge marketing phenomenon, but you'd be wrong. Every studio, major one, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Fox, all of them passed.
And that's strange, like thinking about like the juggernaut that they were when they came out in the late 80s.
Oh, dude.
They went up against He-Man, they went up against Voltron, they were going up against Transformers, and these guys still came out on top with so much popularity.
Oh, dude, yeah. Like, I had everything. I had Ninja Turtles underwear, I had socks, and you could name it, I had it. But no, apparently they were kind of scared that the concept wouldn't work in live action, which I could understand. It's a little goofy, so it was actually independently financed. The producers found them, it was a $13.5 million budget, which of course that would barely pay for a catering bill on the Avengers films now. But it made independently, and about halfway through, they found a distributor, a very low budget sort of indie studio called New Line Cinema.
Oh wow, yeah, back in the 80s, yeah, those guys were just coming up.
Previously, they'd been most known for Freddy Krueger, I believe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, weren't they slasher flick?
Yeah, so they snapped up the rights, and of course, the movie became a huge hit. It was like $140 million gross, and for a long time, it was actually until the Blair Witch Project, it was the highest grossing independent film ever made. Yeah, people don't realize that. And, the movie does... I'll get into the negatives later, but let's get into the positives. I watched this movie intermittently over the years, and I have to say... I'll let you go first. Zoller?
I mean, the first movie is one of my all-time favorite guilty pleasures. I'll admit that straight up. Mm-hmm. The animatronics in the faces is really good. A lot of the practical effects are pretty good.
Yeah, there's a few wonky ones.
They're not good by today's standards, so if you're going back and watching this for the first time, and you've got no connection to the Turtles and no connection to the 80s, you might think it's a different film than we do.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, it's one of my all-time faves.
Like you were mentioning last night, you can actually tell when the neck connects to the body.
Yeah, there's an embarrassing little, skin flappy-looking hem that you can see around the necks of the Turtles. But your attention is kind of driven away by the animatronics in the face. And as TJ was mentioning last night, when that came out on VHS, that movie's dark. Really, really dark. And they could have used that to their advantage as far as hiding some of that stuff. But seeing as how it's an HD reboot, or not reboot, but an HD redone movie, a lot of that stuff really shows. But if you've got it in your heart to sit through it for that, I think it's worth it.
Absolutely. Now, yes, probably the best part of this movie, actually, aside from the animatronics, is the actual, it's a damn well shot movie. Someone really, this could have easily been a throwaway, just who gives a shit? The dumb kids will show up. But someone
used
actually
a lot of stock footage BS if they wanted to. They could have gone way
lots of use of shadows. it definitely has a Blade Runner sort of vibe to it.
The whole thing is dark, it's wet, it's grimy. it's New York City in the 80s, man, and they do a good job even with their backlot usage and trying to represent that.
Because the movie was actually shot mostly in North Carolina.
Which is so weird, but
again, New York, New York's
Cheap.
always going to be expensive.
Cheap.
I mean, there's a few New York shots in there, and I've seen enough of New York.
They did some good stock footage shots of like people walking in the streets and stuff like that.
Just the sheer, the movie. It takes the absurdity and it just puts it in the modern day. Like when April first meets the turtles, after a while she just has to go like
super realistic kind of reaction from her, which is fun. She's not like, oh my God, there's turtles. She freaks out. She's trying to get away from them. I mean, Splinter's the first thing she sees, and he's a dirty, huge rat, and he talks. So I think it's as much as they could do it. I think it's a realistic reaction to what somebody would deal with. Seeing that for the first time, kind of.
I mean, it's
in a cartoony way.
There's a certain deadpan ridiculousness to the film, like where Raphael's just walking around in a trench coat and a hat,
and that disguises him from people.
They did that in the cartoon, but that's a that's a cartoon. You can kind of believe that, but like in a movie, it's just intentionally absurd. Like no one, although it is New York City.
Yeah,
this is true. They don't look up for anything, so it's possible. You could maybe get away with it.
You could maybe get away with it at nighttime, the way he's doing it. I guess.
Like around here, we live in a small town. No way in frickin' hell, no.
When there's like one person on the street at 9 o'clock at night, you're not going to go unnoticed. New York City, when there's hundreds of people out on the street at a time, I guess you could get away with it. I guess you could go see a movie, get a slice of pizza, skate around, whatever.
Which is great. The movie he goes to see comes out critters. Out. Anyone very young or probably that won't make any sense or whatever. But to us, that's an old 80s creature feature that we were like.
That's something I grew up with, man, and it's a bad movie.
it's awesome, but like it's distributed by New Line Cinema, so that's probably why they were able to get it.
Definitely.
Raph goes, where did I come up with this stuff? Like, which is weird. Why does Raph have a Brooklyn accent? Or whatever?
I was like,
and all the other turtles sound.
I think he's supposed to. Raph is. He's a gruff character. I think just giving him that real gruff kind of
New York,
Bronxy Brooklyn accent on things was probably like. Sorry, I got a puppy back here. She's biting on me.
It works though,
but yeah, no, she's. I'm sorry. Raph is just, he's got attitude, man, and it speaks through his accent as well as his words, I guess.
Now, so the production design is absolutely fantastic. The Shredder is like, whoa!
Yeah, Shredder's... I started noticing a lot of mirrors of Star Wars in the film.
Dude,
there's a great scene where Shredder kind of presents himself to all the teens in their little hangout, and he's like inducting people into the Foot Clan, and he tells them, he's like, I'm your family now. And then he even goes as far as to say, and I am your father now.
Yeah,
which I thought, a guy with a big scary helmet on telling people he's their father. And that was the first Star Wars reference I got. We'll talk about the other one in a few minutes, I'm sure.
Exactly. So Shredder is a fantastic villain. Sometimes it seems like he's in a different movie than everybody else,
Yeah, I feel like he actually came from like a... I feel like he came from like an actual kung fu movie background,
Yeah.
Not that he does any like amazing martial arts stuff, just the way that he acts with his posture and his tones, it just kind of gives me an idea, or gives me the thought that maybe he was in a movie or two or several before.
You mean the character?
Not the character, but the actor. The actor, yeah.
You can't really see him
he
too well.
He did a good job with few words.
The helmet, you can sometimes kind of tell, again, it's in HD. I can see the lips aren't moving when he's talking because they probably dubbed that all in there. So it's a little obvious, but again, this movie's 29 years old.
Yeah, man.
Fuck.
We're old.
Saw this in the theater. I remember, but for the most part, the movie it's still a lot of fun. The jokes are stupid, but
they're memorable.
I mean, we are nostalgic for it, so maybe we're going to be a little more forgiving. Maybe kids today would be like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
But the animatronics dudes, I have to give credit to the martial artists, doing the flips and stuff.
Dude, wearing those suits, even without the animatronics in it, probably taking a lot of weight out of it, but you're still wearing a full rubber suit with a full rubber mask, very limited vision.
And they're doing
backflips. They're doing pretty legit kung fu kicks and kung fu punches, utilizing their weapons, skateboarding in some scenes.
Yeah,
they do a good job
with surfer music. That made me laugh. That's just
classic.
so stupid, but that's awesome. But yeah, this movie, we'll have to talk about. The human acting is okay for the most part. I like Chief Stearns, the main chief.
Yeah,
He's such a
police
pompous
chief is perfect.
douchebag.
He could work in
he's
television.
great.
He's like straight out of the cartoon show almost.
Oh yeah.
April O'Neil is cute, easy on the eyes, not a terrible actor. Casey Jones,
who's awesome.
pretty decent actor as
I
well. The
loved
thing
him.
is though, when you've got 5.5-foot mutant turtles on a screen with you, you're not really. You're just there to like help push the story along. I mean, as a kid, I never really
gave a shit.
I mean, Casey Jones was awesome.
Yeah.
I always loved Casey Jones. That dude ruled. And in the movie, he takes off his mask. He's not using his weapons as much. So I remember when I was a kid being like, meh, like I don't really care. Now that I'm older, I really don't mind that much. Like the whole movie is just so much fun to watch every couple of years or so.
That actor's been with Casey Jones. He's been in a couple films.
Yeah.
Elias I can't even say Cotes or Costas. I can't even say his last name. He's got one of those weird last names.
Yeah. If you guys ever saw the movie Shooter with Mark Wahlberg in it, he actually plays a huge bad guy part in that. His face is it's like recognizable, but you have to know where you saw it before. Otherwise, it kind of blends in with every other Hollywood face.
Plus, he's much older. So,
Yeah.
And actually, the girl who played April O'Neil did not come back for the sequel because she said,
unfortunately,
because she said, "Oh, my character didn't get enough arc," and I'm thinking to myself, "Are you really serious? You're really serious right now?"
Again, when you're sharing a screen with 4.5-foot, 5-foot turtles,
I'm sorry,
you're gonna get pushed to the side a little bit
If I
on
was
a
an
visual
actor,
level. At the very least.
If I was an actor, yeah, I signed up for that. I'd be like, yeah, I'm just here to cash a paycheck to pay my rent, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe a scene or two to like establish my character. Fine, whatever. Trying to think anything else. So I guess we should go ahead and get into the real negatives.
The real negatives.
Because
there are some.
You can pick apart some of the technical stuff, but that's unfair because the movie's really old, so I'm not going to do that.
The budget kind of shows when you're watching the film.
It does.
The quality of right down to the quality of the film. It has a very 80s look to it. If you've ever seen the original Batman, the shading and the darkness is just about the same. It's hard to see certain scenes and stuff like that, but they utilize that darkness and the shadows to their advantage. But we're talking about negatives here, so like let's get down and dirty and really rip this one a new one, I guess.
And my number one negative, I'll start if you don't mind, is Danny. The freaking stupid little punk kid teenager that just eats up screen time. I'm like, I don't care.
His only redeeming factor are his Sid Vicious t-shirts.
Yes, two
only
of them.
redeeming.
He must love Sid Vicious, yeah.
And they're rad.
But
he's useless.
Every time the movie cuts to him, which thankfully isn't too much, but it's like, I don't care.
He's got a face you kind of want to just slap.
Yeah, he's a ginger, so
if there's any gingers out there, not that I want to slap you, it's just this kid really evokes that from me.
Danny. He's like
your typical rebellious teenager, horrible lines, horrible deliveries.
He's like
somebody had their cousin or their son in the film.
I looked him up. He was only in 3 other things. This kid, so
I'm sure he didn't do very.
He's like, my dad took careless about me. I'm just like, go away.
The movie does fall prey, especially in that aspect of like every 80s and 90s thing where they had to have a kid. So that they could bring in the child audience with a relatable character. Star Trek Next Generation did this. Hell, even the X-Men comic book did this, would you believe? So it's a thing that they tried out a lot. It's the reason Batman has Robin. But in this movie, you just don't care at all about the kid. Nope. You kind of want him to go away so you can see the Shredder and the Turtles. In fact,
a future famous actor, Sam Rockwell, in his first feature film, that was funny. Like he was
the bad guy. Well, one of the bad guys from Iron Man 2, if you're not aware. And I'm trying to think of other stuff that he's from. You saw him, you'd know him. This has to be one of his first acting gigs ever, it's absolutely hilarious how plastic he is delivering the lines, but very realistically looking like he's junked out. So we'll figure that one out later.
You got your cigarettes, regular or menthol?
Dude, the hangout place these guys have, we both admitted this is like the coolest place ever. It's like every late 80s kid's dream come true. Arcade machines, slot machines, beer, cigarettes, no puppies barking at you. I mean, there's skateboards, there's ramps. This place is awesome. And you just want to live there for a minute, and then Sam Rockwell shows up and tries to recruit you, and you're like, maybe not.
Also, okay, and also I have to say some of this transition from serious to goofy aren't the best. Like it feels like
they're not flawless. That's for sure.
It goes from like a goofy slapstick scene to like the next scene being like, oh, a very dark and serious scene, and that's one thing I think the second film does better. We'll get into that later, but this movie, it's a little like, okay, now we're goofy.
Yeah, because
okay.
I mean, there's some real serious kind of adult things going on there. There's death. There's like the main trainer guy for the Foot Clan beats the living snot out of a kid. He was saying that they had to add in a sound where the kid was breathing, so that audiences didn't think that he was dead, because it just kind of the way he beat down on this kid. I mean, and this is. I mean, was this before the PG-13 thing became a thing?
Yeah.
So back in the day, if you're not aware, there was only PG and rated R. There was no PG-13. So that's why when you watch a movie like this one, or like The Gremlins, that comes before the 90s, an 80s film, even Batman, and it's rated PG, don't let that scare you away, because PG back then meant you could still smoke, you could still swear. Yeah. You might even catch a boob or two in there, depending on the film.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. Swamp Thing, remember that movie?
Oh, yeah. Who can't forget Swamp Thing?
My goodness.
We should review that sometime. That's a great one.
I don't know. What do you have any flaw? What are your main issues with
all
the
right,
film?
so again, watching it in HD, really seeing the neck ripples, it kind of that like threw me off a bit. I'm trying to think of like really any bad, because it's really hard to like come up with a bad thing about a movie you love so much.
Danny, but, you didn't like Danny very much.
Danny was annoying. I mean, ever since I was a kid, I found him obnoxious. I felt no connection to him. He was just a punk kid stealing money and narking out the turtles to Shredder, and then he even goes behind Shredder's back and disappears. Shredder's like, what happened to that kid that knew about the turtles? And they're like, well, I don't know, he ran away. So this kid is just good at running away. He sucks. He's so boring, dude. Again, not good to look at. He's just an obnoxious redhead with like buck teeth.
So any other negatives that you can?
As far as any other negatives, like you were saying, and it didn't really become apparent to me until we were watching last night, the real juxtaposition, like you were saying about a serious dark scene being followed by like a really goofy slapstick scene. I know what they were trying to do. You know, you got a movie that like starts leaning towards a real dark and serious situation, and your target audience is like between 8 and 14. So you kind of have to back off. And they do this, I think, well in a couple parts, and then they just do it abruptly. Like they were just like, let's end the scene and start a new one. But like the scene where Casey Jones is giving April a real forceful back rub in the kitchen,
which would not happen, by the way. That was like
a lot of stuff in this movie you won't see in movies anymore, especially kids' movies.
She kick him in the balls.
But he forcefully sits her down and like starts giving her a back rub, and Mikey walks in. And he goes over to the thing, and she's like, do you want some ointment? And he's like, no, and he pulls out a thing of turtle wax. Now, I find that hilarious because I've seen that joke probably about 1,000 times now in my life. It's a funny thing that as you see it, you're like, ha ha ha, and you move on.
It's like the Naked Gun level.
That's a good balance of like, oh, we're getting too serious, let's add some funny. But then there's like he said, there's scenes that are just like, they're super dark. And then like it'll cut to the next scene, and it's like one of the turtles doing like some Three Stooges like stunt. Yeah. Fine, whatever. Those are my only gripes with the movie, though. I really
like legitimate ones other than technical stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, once you get over the neck flaps, you forget about it.
So I guess we should probably do a rating for this movie, because I do a rating system. I had to think long and hard about it.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's not good,
but I'm trying to distance myself and look at it from an adult perspective,
which is so hard though.
Yeah,
it's such a for us when it breaks down and it gets to the kid parts. There's such kid parts that it's really hard.
I'm gonna go with a 7.2. It's fun, but I realize that there's some nostalgia clouding it. But I own it.
I thought about it last night after we watched both films, and I'm going to give this one a solid 6.
Okay.
Because if it is your first time watching this film, if you happen to watch this review, and you're like, I'm going to check that movie out, it's your first time, you might, in your our age, you might not really dig it.
Yeah.
If you got kids, sit down with them if you don't mind a little violence. That is one thing that was really bad about the first film is when it came out, critics really slapped the crap out of it for being too violent, too dark. And so I guess this would be a good segue to start talking about the
next
second film.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Secret of Use. Now, this one gets mixed reaction. Some people love it, some people hate it.
I walked in with some disdain last night, and as we watched it, I realized that my disdain was easily forgotten as the film starts moving along. Yes, it's cheesy. Yes, it's not doing the right thing all the time, but it's still a fun watch, and
it is.
It moves faster than the second film.
It does. I think it's a better directed film. I mean, in terms of like style and pacing, you know. Directed by Michael Pressman. I think he's done a few mainstream films, but I think he hasn't done much in a long time. But like, yes. So this movie, I love it almost as much as the first one. It's like barely just below. It's a totally different movie. It's a totally different style. Like
different movie,
they pulled the rug right out because like of all the complaints from parents. So like the turtles don't use their weapons in this movie, which some people have a problem with. I never noticed it after a while. It's like whatever, fine.
There was a scene last night that made us both stop and cry out, "Use your swords!"
Yes.
Now, they get stuck in a net trap, which is like some Scooby-Doo shit anyway.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of spikes that he's gonna put them over and drop them on it.
And I mean these are like some ghetto spikes that they made out of like pitchforks and shovels, stuff they found around the junkyard that
we
they're
were
hanging
like,
out in.
So we both started screaming, "Leonardo, you have swords!
He's got swords on his back!
Chop it up!
You can like slice through ropes with that!
Like, why?
He's not slicing people in half, he's not dismembering people. But they couldn't let him use his swords. They were literally there as a prop.
Yeah.
And it was pretty bad.
But we should probably get into the story. Now, Shredder survived the first film, which by the way we forgot to mention his death is like the most demented shit ever. Like
Shredder dies in the first movie. Real death, well, not real death because he comes back.
Yeah.
But it's brutal.
Like, he gets dropped into a freaking garbage can. Casey Jones comes over and nonchalantly goes, "Oops."
He turns the compactor on.
I'm like, that's cold-blooded
and you see,
murder.
The scene ends with you seeing Shredder's helmet getting crushed under this like garbage truck compactor.
Damn. So that's some dark shit. Anyway, so he survives apparently. He comes back. He gets the Foot Clan back together because there's still some left over.
Yeah, it's like the second movie, which it's insane. It literally takes place like the next day after the last film. And Tej was telling me that the movie came out a year afterwards.
Oh, they cranked this out.
God.
Yeah. Maybe
the production quality on it 100% different. The budget way more.
Oh yeah.
And the acting in it pretty goddamn good.
Well, we'll get into that into the negatives. So what was I saying?
Oh man. So yeah, we're talking about the plot of the story. Sorry, before I get interrupted.
So basically, the Foot Clan is put back together, but Shredder is going to create two new mutant characters. From the because
Who could this be?
The whole backstory of the film, or the backstory, or the story of the film is that the company that created the mutagen in the first film, they're trying to cover it all up. It feels like kind of a half-assed conspiracy.
TGRI.
Yeah, weird name, and like the Turtles have to find a sample of it to try to find out who they were because this has just come out recently, and Splinter's like, oh, I better tell them, where I came from.
Splinter was up on the roof for many hours.
Doing what? Coming to a decision. That pause made us like, wait, whoa.
There's a definitive pause in that one scene that made my 12-year-old self jump out of my body and scream and laugh at the same time. But anyway.
Oh god, that's awful. But like, so Splinter tells them, you came from TGRI, so they have to sort of try to find some ooze. It's kind of unclear what they're gonna do exactly. I was never like, are they gonna like investigate? Are they gonna steal some ooze? I don't understand. Like, what are they gonna do?
Definite backdrops to each scene, right? You got a toy store in one, you got the sewers in the other. TGRI plant or whatever, like their science factory. So I feel like they had all these sets put together, and they were just like, how do we link them all up?
You think?
And
interesting, maybe. But like the opening mall scene is awesome. It's
dude,
so
that
ridiculous.
shit is hilarious.
There's a pizza delivery boy named Kino. I'm sure probably everyone watching this has probably seen this movie.
Yeah,
But anyway, I'll try. Kino, a pizza delivery boy, finds a bunch of crooks in an underground mall. And the turtles come and save him, and a goofy slapstick fight ensues, which he said it divides you. I love it. It's just so stupid and so.
There's a lot in this movie.
Slapstick.
There's a lot of dudes in the background doing superfluous moves to kind of give the action scenes, like. The idea that stuff is going on, but literally it's dudes in the backgrounds doing like little dance moves.
It's hilarious. We're watching last night, and there's a wide shot of a bunch of the turtles fighting a bunch of the Foot Clan. There's like guys up on the stairs and stuff.
Doing nothing.
They're just sitting there going like this. I'm like, what the hell are they doing? Like, you think they'd just be like, or maybe fighting, overpowering them? No, they're just chilling.
They weren't even waiting to jump into the fray.
Also,
they were just
we forgot to mention in the first film, like when the turtles first get attacked by the Foot Clan, a guy comes in, carrying axes. Like, what was that guy doing? Like, was he just sitting back there? Like,
it was like, you just made it through the first boss. Now it's level 2. These guys have axes now. This guy dropped them off. He was waiting outside with the door.
Oh my God.
He had like 6 axes for everybody inside.
What a
Where
job.
was he 5 minutes ago? He was waiting outside with the axes until they said the magic word.
Man, that's a demotion right there. Yeah, you just stand there with axes and hold them.
You don't even get to go in and use them. You're just handing them to your friends that are actually doing stuff.
But like, there's like all these. But yeah, there's always all these superfluous like foot people just sitting there, just like gang up on them, attack them.
Towards the end of the film, where they're fighting the 2 mutants for the second time, I noticed guys in the background that were doing just the random moving for no reason thing, and they looked like water noodles, dude. They were supposed to have like pipes. I don't know if they were supposed to be like lead pipes or something. You could tell they were flimsy like water noodles, and they weren't doing anything. They were just standing there, shaking them around, making it look like they were doing stuff. They're like, "Hey, extras, you're getting paid. Shake your booty."
Exactly. Oh, you mean the concert goers?
No, not even the concert. Right before they crashed into the wall.
Oh, okay.
And Shredder was like, yeah.
But overall, the movie has kind of like a comic book feel to it more than the first film.
Yeah, definitely.
Like
the colors are bright.
Colors.
Yeah, the colors are brighter, and I think the turtles are popping more jokes.
And yes, oh god, for me, the movie's humor rides just the thin line of being so lame, but it's still funny.
Yeah.
Like the third film, it topples over, which we'll get into that someday. But
I just don't.
God, it's too much. The animatronics are also 1,000 times better. Like their facial expressions are more extreme. Like they're in bright lights.
Yeah.
So that helps. But the Jim Henson people were just at the top of their game. Like this is the one Turtles film of the 3 where I forget that they're animatronics. They have such expressive
faces.
They do,
and
I stopped thinking about it.
Focus on the faces so much that they even get some really good close-ups of the faces when they're moving and talking. They do really awesome camera trickery. There's a scene where the turtles are all eating pizza. Now, obviously, there are people wearing masks, so they can't eat the pizza
or drink.
But they'll do funny little stuff, like they'll show them like putting the pizza in their mouth and chewing down on it, and then slide the camera over. So you get the illusion of it. You believe that they're actually eating pizza. Cool. I'm in.
Splinter the Splinter costume puppet is even better in this film. Yeah.
Both movies, Splinter is the animatronics to be paying attention to. He's amazing to look at. He's very Yoda-like, even though he's hairy. Mm-hmm. He's the wise old character.
The new April is she's okay. She's cute.
She's Hollywoody.
It's a superfluous character. It almost doesn't matter. Whatever. Fine.
They were kind enough to throw April in a yellow raincoat in the first movie, and cartoon fans probably bugged out about that. They don't offer you any of that here. They make her a redhead. That's as close as you get.
And Mikey still keeps trying to creep on her. It's just like, whoa, dude.
Mikey's got a definite crush, and
in both films,
it makes sense because they're teenagers, but let's not get right.
She's just sort of like, that's funny. I'd be like, get the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
Gross. He's doing like Humphrey Bogart impressions.
I believe they talk about it in the Michael Bay films, but we're not here to talk about those.
Not
so
yet.
I'm just gonna throw that comment out.
And then we have Toka and Razor, the two new mutants. And to this day, I only learned recently why it wasn't Bebop and Rocksteady from the first film. I don't get it. Like why? And apparently it's because one of the comic book creators, Kevin Eastman, he didn't want Bebop and Rocksteady in the film, and apparently he had some kind of say. That's what I read. I don't know how he would have any say in this, but he must have had a power play, so they had to come up with somebody else. Which they're okay, they're fine. But like there's always that crushing childhood disappointment of like really?
Yeah.
No.
They do this whole like scene reveal and everything. He's like, take away the door.
Yeah.
You know,
ridiculous.
Like, this awesome scene, and then like Tokar and Razor come out, and they don't look awesome, but they don't look terrible.
I think the animatronics look pretty good out.
The wolf one is just he's about as annoying to look at as anything. He looks like remember the end of Big Trouble in Little China?
Yeah.
He looks like that dude. 100%.
Oh, the monster from that.
Yeah,
okay, I could see that.
I feel like they just raided some like backlot and found the mask and were like, let's build around this dude.
It's possible. I don't think it looks that bad, but to each their own.
Make your own opinion. Watch the film.
And the fight choreography is fantastic. You know, even though it's comical, but they do a lot of flipping around. So
there are there are kicks that land. There are things that like do work. It's not completely cartoony, but it's not as dark as the first one. I don't know. It's got
it's a fine line. You either like it or you don't. Now let's get into the negative. We have to talk about, how can we not talk about one of the greatest scenes of all time in movie history, when they crash the freaking the
dance party
club,
thing,
and it's well, you all know who's on stage. Vanilla Ice.
Rob Van Winkle.
Oh God,
killing it. And I say killing it. He's not.
Delivering.
I don't think the guy ever killed anything.
No.
Music scene
no,
or
he
anything.
delivers one of the greatest songs of all time. I don't like rap that much.
Go Ninja,
go
Ninja,
man.
go.
And they're dancing around and you've got like the concert goers are like, yeah, woo!
Like it's the best thing they ever heard or saw. I mean.
Oh, and forgot to mention David Warner, the British actor David Warner, who's been
really delivers like a
actual acting performance.
He's looking the turtles in the eyes when he's talking to them. That's what he's doing.
And apparently, I was reading
a lot of actors didn't do that.
And I was reading, and you'd think he would probably be like, years later, be like, oh, what a piece of shit I had to be, and I had to go pay the frickin' bills. But you know what? He actually was like, no, that was a lot of fun movie to make. I'm glad I made it. It was fun. I was like shocked. I was like, wow, really?
Yeah.
I figured he'd be like, oh, that piece of shit.
I was making the joke that he had rent to pay. And it just sounds like he did it because either kids that he knew, kids that he had, whatever, were interested in this, like, 80s juggernaut known as the Turtles and decided to be in it.
He's been in a lot of movies, like, theater. He's a Shakespearean actor. He's, like, serious.
Yeah.
But yes, he even gets into the action in the dance club. He's going like this, so it made me kind of laugh.
But as soon as Vanilla Ice shows up, he definitely disappears, which is a great move. I would do the same thing.
Like, his character is just gone.
Yeah.
Like, goodbye. Like,
he grabs the can of ooze and he dips out.
We never see him again. We never see him.
We
never see him again. It's like, okay. I mean, we do get a